Welcome to the Marvelous Middle Age Podcast, where we are building a community of people who are in the midst of midlife, sharing our stories and learning from each other along the way. Each week, I'll have a guest join me to discuss a topic that impacts our lives and touches on some aspect of midlife. We'll discuss relationships, transitions, health and well-being, parenting, careers, and more. My goal is to encourage and support you and help you thrive as you navigate this adventure of midlife. Join me here each week for the Marvelous Middle Age Podcast. Brooke Auchincloss, welcome to the Marvelous Middle Age Podcast.
Thank you. So nice to be here.
I am so glad that you are here today. Thank you for joining me. Before we get started, could you just introduce yourself and share a little bit about yourself and your family and what you do?
Sure. My name is Brooke Auchincloss, and I am a ceramic artist. And I have two daughters, one 14 and one 24. And I have just moved to New Jersey from Maui.
Wow. That has had to be an interesting experience. Your first winter?
That's right. In a long time.
And I know you've shared how much you love the snow and the beautiful
I love the snow.
snowfall.
Yeah.
It is actually really pretty. It really is. It's very peaceful, I will say. And then you have to drive on it. No, I'm kidding. It's
Yeah.
not bad. How do they do with the clearing of the roads in New Jersey? Is it pretty good? Do they do a pretty good
They're
job?
pretty good. Yeah, I think they're pretty good. We haven't had the kind of massive snowfall you have.
Mm-hmm.
It's been, 3 or 4 inches here and there, but it hasn't been anything really torrential. So they've dealt with it pretty quickly. So yeah.
Nice. That's nice. Well, we know each other because we are in a group of moms of neurodivergent children, and you were a guest on the podcast in season 2. If you haven't listened to that episode, please go do so. It's wonderful. You share about your life and travels and our parenting journeys and all of that sort of thing. But we've talked practically every day over Marco Polo and share about our
Yeah,
lives.
for the last 2 years.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe how
Amazing.
fast the time has gone. That's awesome. I love
Right?
it. I love it. Well, you are an Enneagram 4, and I'm just thrilled that you're joining me today to talk about what it's like to be an Enneagram 4. Before we get into that, though, I want to give a brief description of the Enneagram 4, the Romantic Individualist, and share the core desire, fear, weakness, and longing about 4s. So the core fear of a 4 is being inadequate, emotionally cut off, plain, mundane, defective, flawed, or insignificant. The core desire is to be unique, special, and authentic. The core weakness is envy, feeling that you're tragically flawed, that something foundational is missing inside you and others possess qualities you lack. And the core longing is that you are seen and loved for exactly who you are, special and unique. So I love Enneagram 4s because of their just incredible relational capabilities. And we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. But how did you first learn about the Enneagram and what interested you about it?
I'm always interested in any type of personality test or any way people have of quantifying who they are in the world and how they operate. So I love things like that. And I encountered it kind of tangentially from friends who had done it, but didn't know as much about it till you kind of reawakened it in me and
Yeah, I
started
know. I
talking to
probably
us
chew
about
you
it.
guys' ears off about it, and I'm like, quiet,
No, it's fun. It's
talking about this.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I the same. I love anything to do with personal growth and development. I think it's fascinating. How did you figure out your type? Did you take a test? Did you read about the different types? How was that experience for you?
I did the online thing, and you had guessed, I think, correctly that I was a 4. And then when I did the test online, it came up as a 4, and I was like immediately like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You read it and you were like, "Yep, that's me. No
Yep, yep.
questions." I love it. I love it. What did it when you were reading through that and you had that kind of like aha, like, "Yep, this is me." What did that feel like? Was it kind of affirming or that you were, kind of confirming all of that, or what did that feel like?
I mean, yes and no. It's the good stuff and the bad stuff. So
Mm.
you're like, oh, oops. Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. Yikes. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. No, and some Enneagram writings tend to be written kind of in here's all the things that, kind of on the negative side of things. It's trying to help people, I think, recognize kind of areas they can focus on or whatnot. And that is certainly part of it. But I also really like to focus on the things that make you so wonderful. And the aspects of your type that are so special. And one of the many things that I love about the Enneagram Four is that you're amazing connectors with people on a deep level, and you appreciate the uniqueness of each individual because you are also very kind of focused in on that for yourself. And fours tend to be very intuitive and compassionate to others. Do you resonate with that? Has that kind of played out for you in your life as you've navigated the world?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I mean, I think artists, that sounds like it being an artist for sure, that like kind of trying to connect. And I've always tried to connect through art on a deeper level, not just pretty pictures, but also I'm really interested in conceptual work that has like a kind of a deeper meaning. And I've often been involved in charity work as well. So I think those two things together is in fact why I'm now applying for a master's in art therapy, because it's the junction of those two things.
Yeah. When you shared with us that you were going to do that, I was just like, I think I said out loud, yes. I
You
just went,
did.
yep, that's it. That's it. You would be so incredibly amazing at that. And it is true that a lot of creative individuals are fours because you do have such a great ability to connect the inner feelings, emotions with the outer world. And so a lot of fours tend to be artists or photographers or people that are creating in the world. They're very,
And that's, yeah, also that thing you said about needing to be seen as individual and, not like everyone else, and that fear that you won't be seen. That's also a pure artist thing for sure.
yeah, artists want to be known for, what they've created or what they've contributed to, and that sort of thing. So I love that. And I love that about fours. And fours are people who are also, they tend to be more in touch with their own feelings. Not that, that's always happening every single day of your life, but they tend to be more, when healthy, and aligned, they tend to be able to, connect to feelings. And then I think what's so great about that is they can help others to do that too. So the art therapy, I think, will just really blend that so perfectly for you because I've seen your beautiful art that you create. I'll put a link in the show notes to your website so that people can check it out
Thanks.
because it's
Okay.
gorgeous. It's
Thank you.
gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And I love it so much. So beautiful. I'm actually looking right now at the beautiful cup that you gave me last year when we traveled together. I have it on my desk so I can see it every day and it's so beautiful. I just love it. It's absolutely beautiful. I use it for paper clips. I hope that's okay. It's
Perfect.
gorgeous and
Ideal.
functional.
There you go.
There you go. There you go. So fours, and what I'm going to talk about next are the stress and growth paths. Um, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Sorry. I guess the other thing I wanted to ask you though about four, as you mentioned, kind of reading about, kind of the good and the challenging parts about being a four. Sometimes when fours are unhealthy, they can be more withdrawn, self-conscious, maybe even a little self-indulgent at times. Do you ever find this applies to you when you're maybe stressed out or overwhelmed or having a hard time? Do you ever see those things come out?
Well, yeah, I definitely have a love-hate relationship with my own isolationism, having lived on an island in the middle of the Pacific for the last 7 years. I guess I was taking that to a fair extreme.
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
But
I love it.
yeah, I try to work with that and be aware of that. So it is helpful to be reminded of that, of course.
Yeah, Right. And just kind of how when you see yourself, because I characterize the Enneagram a lot of times too, like a rumble strip, right? Like it's a, when you are driving along the highway and maybe you veer off to the side a little bit too much, or sometimes on highways, they'll have the rumble strips right before you're coming up to a stop sign or a stoplight. It's kind of an awareness like, oh, okay, for a four, I might be isolating. I might be, withdrawing away. It's just a way to kind of make yourself aware of that. And so you can,
Hmm.
course correct or pivot a little bit if you need to. Um, and that's again one of the great things I love about the Enneagram is it serves as a little bit of a warning system for us when we're overwhelmed and maybe not as aligned as we
Can I
should
ask you,
be.
ask you a question? Sorry.
Sure.
I wanted to ask you, is Enneagram something you do ongoing, or do you do it just once and then you know what it is, or how does that
Mhm.
work?
That's a great question.
Why, thank
So,
you.
the way I feel about the Enneagram is that it is a tool in your toolkit of kind of your own personal growth and development. So, the way I apply it in my life is ongoing. I my type, I look at, especially when it's been very helpful for me when I'm heading towards stress and overwhelm. I know how I start to behave. And years ago, I would not have been that self-aware. I would have just, well, I'm just really grouchy. I'm a two. So when I'm unhealthy or unaligned, I go towards the type eight, which is the challenger, which tends to be more aggressive in communication, more confrontational, more direct. So you take on the unhealthy type traits of another number. Each number does that. And so that was a real eye opener for me. So I continuously apply the principles of the Enneagram in my life because it helps me have compassion for myself and what I
Mhm.
might be going through. It also helps me have compassion for other people. So when I understand, like if I know, my spouse is a certain type, I understand, him better and where he might be coming from. And that gives me compassion when he might be struggling. And so I just use the principles of it all the time. I mean, and it's not like 24/7 I'm sitting here thinking, oh, what's, my Enneagram? How's that impacting the way I'm doing? I'm unloading the dishwasher. No, I mean, it's not like that. But when I'm thinking about myself and where I'm at and what I'm doing, how I'm feeling, yeah, I think about it's like a piece, if you will, of the puzzle. And so it's just something I'm always kind of using in my own world, in my own uh, thoughts and behavior.
So,
Mhm.
does an Enneagram coach you continually, or
Mhm.
just through the kind of diagnosis phase of
Right.
figuring out
Your
who you
diagnosis.
are?
Yeah. So, yes. So, thank you for bringing that up. So, an Enneagram coach, it can be as much or as little as you would like. So, the practice that I have, the initial recommended coaching is 5 sessions. And we walk through different elements of your type. So we'll talk about stress and growth paths. There's also something called a blind spot and converging paths, which we won't talk about the blind spot and converging paths today because we could go down a whole rabbit hole on those. We'll talk about wings. We talk about triads. We talk about levels of alignment. We even have a conversation about childhood messages that we received in childhood that may inform our type and how we navigate the world. So it's a 5 session, and you can do those sessions, as one a week or one every 2 weeks or even one a month. I mean, you can make it last as long as you like, but those first 5 sessions really dive deep into the all of the different elements of your type. And then beyond that, then you can, if a client is interested, usually a client will come to you as a coach that there's some pain point in their life. It could be something with their career. It could be something with a relationship. It could be something with a decision that they're trying to make, like a big life decision. It could be, there's usually something that brought them there. Maybe they're just feeling stuck in
Mhm.
life and they just don't know what's next. And so you can really then, with the context of that Enneagram as kind of the backdrop, you can help them kind of work through those things and what's going on. If there's an area of their life that they specifically want to work on. And so that can go, as I know coaches that will work with clients for 6 months or more, just depending on the desire of the client and how, what they want to work on. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, fix me.
Fascinating. Can be my first official client. That would be
Okay,
awesome.
awesome.
I would love that. I would love it. That would be so great. Yeah, I really it's just valuable because it helps you understand yourself in such a way that is compassionate and grace filled, and it really I don't know, I just, and again, because it's so profoundly impacted my own understanding of myself,
Mhm.
it's helped me to identify places in my life, such as parenting, for example, where I'm like, I need to course correct here a little bit. I'm doing some things that I need to work. I need to work on some things with that. So it's helped me to see where I'm really doing well, where I really am healthy and growing, and then areas that I want to focus on and work on. And it's been really
So
helpful
the
for
idea isn't really to fix someone. I was joking about
no,
fix me, but in fact,
no.
it's really to kind of make you more self-aware. Is that right?
Right. Make you more self-aware and to help you process and work through, um, like I said, an area of your life where you might want to work on. Maybe you're just feeling stuck. Like I don't know what's next. And I find that especially for women in our age range, sometimes that's a really natural feeling to have. Like, I don't know what's next. Maybe it's someone who's their kids are, out of the house and they don't know what's next for them. Maybe they're coming up on retirement and they're like, gosh, I don't know what to do. Or maybe they have a great idea for a business and they don't know. What Enneagram coaching is not, is it's not therapy.
Mhm.
In the program, the certification program I just went through, our leader, Beth, says that therapy is to focus on more of the past, right? To untangle the things of your past. Enneagram coaching can really focus on the present and where you're at right now and help you. And it's not that we don't talk about your past as a part of coaching, but it's not the focus. It's more about the here and now and how you want to go forward in your
Well,
life.
yeah, moving forward, it sounds like it's almost more about the future, really, because
Yeah.
it's how do you want to move forward with this? How do you want
From,
to be in the
issue
future? Yeah.
A, what do you want to
Mhm.
do? Right, exactly. And so um, we are taught how to kind of recognize if a client comes to us and really is more in need of professional licensed therapy, we can refer them to someone to help with that because we're not licensed therapists. That's not what we're certified or trained or should do. That would not
Mhm.
be a good thing for us to try to handle. So yeah, yeah. And it's something that, I think some people might be like, gosh, this sounds great. I want to do this. And if it's not the right time for people, you might meet with them for that first session and they might just be like, yeah, this this isn't something I want to spend my time on. And I have resources that I can give people to say, hey, it may not be the right time for you, but you know what? Here's some things you can think about. And when you're ready, let's check in and see if it's a better time, so it's really flexible as well. It can kind of be to the client's uh what they want to do and how they want to move forward. So yeah, it's really
I can't
flexible.
really, yeah, I can't imagine that people wouldn't benefit from it.
Yeah.
It just seems like more self-awareness, more clues, more roadmap, it just
Mhm.
sounds
Right.
beneficial.
Well, and I tell people you're worth investing the time and money in it. You're worth it. I think a lot of people have a hard time carving the time out and, you know, applying resources financially to something like this. And I'm like, no, you're worth doing that. You're worth it and you should do it. And it's helpful. Uh and I've found things like this very helpful for myself. And I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't think it wouldn't help someone. So, and I also can do what I call a typing session. So say if someone's listening right now and you're like, I don't know my type, how do I even figure that out? I can give you a free assessment to take, and then we can do a 1 hour typing session based on the results of your assessment. Because some people test very high at one type. That was the case with me. I tested very high at one type, and I've taken like all the tests because I want to see, if I did. And I did. I've always tested high as a two, but some people will test high at like two or three types and they'll be pretty close. And they don't, when they start reading about each of those types, one doesn't automatically jump out. Like
Mm.
you said, when you were reading about the four, you're like, yeah, this is me. Cause really, I'm not to type anyone. I'm there to walk alongside you and guide you through that and ask you questions to help you figure it out. But it's really up to the individual at the end of the day. But I can assist with that. I can help you figure that out. So if you're someone who's listening that you're like, I don't even know my type, but I want to, I'll put links in the show notes of how they can uh, take the free test and how they can work with me on a typing session. And I can help with that as well. Because some people just, it's not clear right off of the bat as well. So, um, but as far as fours go, again, I love myself a four. Um, when we talk about stress and growth paths, these are, again, kind of pathways for each type. And each type goes towards the unhealthy or healthy traits of another type. So in stress, fours move towards the unhealthy traits of a type two. And so let's take a look at what that might look like. So in stress, the type fours might think, feel, or behave when under stress. They might defend their hurt feelings by withdrawing and removing their attention and affection. They might become over involved and clingy to win affection. They might discuss the current condition of their relationships with others so they'll see their need for them. They might manipulate and create dependency through helping, giving attention, and doing favors for others. They might become possessive and constantly want to be close and secure in relationships. And they might use flattery to gain attention from others when feeling empty or lonely. Does that any of that resonate with you? Like when you're really overwhelmed, stressed, maybe not as aligned as you would like to be? Do you ever see yourself doing those things to some
I
degree?
think the first one, isolating for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You tend to withdraw a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
For sure. For sure. And when I'm reading these, so I'm a two. So when I read these, I'm like, yeah, that's an unhealthy two right there. We tend to, um, try to we want people to need us and want us. And so we tend to do things sometimes subconsciously, sometimes consciously, um, and that sort of thing. So it's we just want connection, we want relationship, and sometimes we don't go about it the
Sure.
right way. So um, but yeah, so when you're withdrawing, what what does that look like? Like, is there anything you find yourself doing or saying or any kind of way you're behaving that would like alert you to, ooh, this isn't me. I need to pivot here a little bit because I'm going down a unhealthy path for myself.
Well, rather than thinking about it as unhealthy, I think
Mhm.
sometimes I need a break. And so
Yep.
sometimes, like, I love to watch old movies from the 1930s. So sometimes I used to live somewhere where I could do that on 9 o'clock on Monday mornings. And that was like it was actually a really healthy thing for me.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
understand that it could be unhealthy to do too much of it, but like at 9 o'clock on a Monday morning, I would go watch an old movie, and that was just like
Mm.
the best. That
Yeah.
was just, it was a really good needed break for me. So I think
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be unhealthy necessarily, maybe.
Yeah. But you found a coping tool, right? When you felt
Exactly. Yeah.
yourself withdrawing and pulling away, you're like, oh no, here's something I can do that's good for me that I can go and do to fill my cup back up
It's
and
like
attend my needs.
microdosing a thing that would be negative
Yeah.
on a grand scale.
Go into the old bar and pointing up to the bar and be like, hey, what you got? What you got? I love it. But in growth, fours move towards the healthy side of a type one. And I can share what that looks like. So, a
Ah,
healthy
yeah.
side of a type one. So, fours, when they are growth, moving towards health, they become more emotionally balanced, objective, and principled. They embrace mundane tasks as opportunities to be a good steward and to be responsible and organized. They become focused, disciplined, and grounded. They become more productive and focused on doing what is right. And they complete what needs to be done before moving on to other interests. So when I'm reading that, I see that in you, like with our trips that we've taken and the one we're about to take. Like I see you like you're you and Josie, who is a type 1, she's in our mother's group. You guys really are the ones that like do this stuff, like the activities. Like you guys figure out where we're going to go and what we're going to do. So I see that when our trips are hopefully very positive experiences. For they have the one trip we've gone on has been really positive. So I see that in you. Do you recognize any of those traits in yourself when you're just like in a really good place? You talked about a trip you recently went on that you had fun with some good friends.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, when I have a goal, I'm pretty unstoppable.
Yeah,
Like I taught myself to swim when I was 16 and I was racing at the nationals, like I think 18 months later. Like I'm pretty like,
focused in.
when I had an exhibition recently, I like was just like boom, like just got it all done, like,
You
super,
were
super focused on
knocking that
that.
out. I remember you
Yeah.
sharing all the things you had to do, and you were just like a force that could not be reckoned with. Like it was like you were going to do this, you were going to do it well, it was going to be good. I love that. I love that. That's great. And again, I think that's one of the great things about the Enneagram is that we have these stress and growth paths and we can see when we're heading down one path or another and including the growth and acknowledging that. Like, yeah, I did that really well, like the show that you had. And I know you've done some like markets and things where you've done really well and people have just, as they should, snatch up all of your beautiful pottery. And
Mhm.
that's a really good feeling, for people to see um, the beauty and the uniqueness of your work. And of course, they're going to buy it all. So
Needing to be seen. There it is.
there it
Needing to be
is.
unique. That's
I
it.
love it. I love it. I love that so much. Well, again, I love a type 4 and I love you, my friend. This
You
has been
too.
so much fun talking about
Yes.
the Enneagram, and I would love to do coaching with you. I think that would be really fun and walk you through the process. And again, I just think it's such a great tool. And whatever type, listeners, whatever type you are, you can benefit from just taking some time for yourself and focusing on you, and that's what coaching is all about too. So I love that part of it.
And I think particularly women, that's something women don't do for themselves very often. We spend a lot of time doing things for other people and then ignore ourselves and what we need for sure.
Yes. Oh, yes, we certainly do. We absolutely do. Well, thank you so much for being on the
Thank you.
podcast.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
If you're enjoying the podcast, please follow the show to make sure the latest episode is on your podcast feed each week. I would greatly appreciate a rating and a 5-star review on the podcast platform you're listening on. It helps others to find the show. If there are topics you'd like me to discuss on the show, please email me at themarvelousmiddleagepodcast@gmail.com or direct message me on Instagram at Nicole Stute. Thank you for listening.